Tonight, making progress. The announcement from Kensington Palace on Princess Kate's cancer treatment. The new photo from the royals as she says she's, quote, not out of the woods yet.
It's such a personal decision for her. I think she will want to be there to support her children and her family.
And what we're learning about her first public appearance since Christmas. The CBS Evening News starts now. The world may be just hours away from seeing Princess Catherine when she will attend a parade for the King's birthday. Good evening, I'm Norah O'Donnell, and thank you for being with us. Tomorrow, Kate Middleton says she will attend the Trooping of the Colors in honor of her father-in-law. It will be her first official engagement in almost 6 months, and it comes on the heels of this new photo of the princess, along with a very personal statement. 42-year-old Kate said, like anyone going through chemotherapy, she has her good days and bad days. She also said that she's been blown away by the many kind messages of support and encouragement. CBS's Ramy Inocencio is at Buckingham Palace with the latest.
"I'm making good progress," said Kate Middleton in her personal message, appearing in this new photo taken on the grounds of Windsor Castle this week. The statement is her first since March, when the Princess of Wales revealed abdominal surgery had found something else.
The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present.
In her update today, she added, "My treatment is ongoing and will be for a few more months. There are good days and bad days. On those bad days, you feel weak, but on the good days, you want to make the most of feeling well." She's been undergoing preventative chemotherapy since, asking for the public's empathy.
As a family, we now need some time, space, and privacy while I complete my treatment.
The princess hasn't been seen officially in public since Christmas Day. That is expected to change tomorrow. While she did appear at King Charles's public birthday celebrations last year, most presumed she would miss this year's pomp and pageantry. But her statement said she will, in fact, join.
This is not her back at work. It would be her feeling well enough on the day to support her children and the royal family.
Also mindful of his duties, the king himself, after his cancer diagnosis in February, appearing in public in France last week for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. He turned 76 this year. And both Kate Middleton and King Charles are expected to appear on the balcony of Buckingham Palace here behind me tomorrow. The Princess of Wales is also expected to ride in a carriage with her 3 children. And this may not be the last time we see her this summer. She said in her statement that she hopes to engage in more public events. Nora.
Ramy Inocencio, thank you very much. Tonight, the president is calling on Congress to ban bump stocks to, quote, save lives after the Supreme Court overturned a federal ban on the gun accessory, the device that allows a semi-automatic rifle to fire hundreds of rounds per minute. CBS's Jan Crawford reports from outside the Supreme Court.
Keep your head down. Go.
The ban on bump stocks took effect 5 years ago after they were used in the Las Vegas shooting that killed 60 people.
To ban all devices that turn illegal weapons into machine guns.
Then President Trump directed the ATF to ban the devices, which allow semi-automatic rifles to fire hundreds of bullets in a minute by classifying them as machine guns. The stock bumps back and forth between the shooter's shoulder and trigger finger, allowing for rapid fire. Trump's executive action reversed Obama administration policy, which said it was up to Congress to ban bump stocks. But in the 6-3 decision today, the Supreme Court said Trump got it wrong and that bump stocks don't fit under a 1934 law regulating machine guns. Writing for the majority, Justice Clarence Thomas detailed how the ATF on more than 10 separate occasions and over several administrations concluded that a semi-automatic rifle equipped with a bump stock is not a machine gun because it cannot fire more than one shot by a single function of the trigger. In a separate opinion, Justice Sam Alito signaled there were no Second Amendment concerns, emphasizing there is a simple remedy: Congress can amend the law. But the ruling prompted a fierce dissent by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who argued the decision would have deadly consequences. 17 states and the District of Columbia currently have laws banning bump stocks. In Congress, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said Democrats are ready to enact a federal ban but need Republican support. And gun control advocates said Americans want a ban on bump stocks before another tragedy.
The American people have waited long enough for real action. The president has said he will sign a bill. It's time to act.
Now, we are waiting for a decision in another gun case that does raise far-reaching Second Amendment concerns. That one is whether the government can ban a person under domestic violence restraining order from having a gun. Nora?
Jan Crawford, thank you very much. The historic rainfall across South Florida this week has dropped more than 2 feet in some areas, with another several inches possible through tomorrow, flooding streets and homes and causing nightmares for millions. While the most of the storms appear to be over, entire neighborhoods like these in Miami-Dade County remain underwater, forcing rescue crews to use large trucks to go door by door to check on those stranded inside. For a look ahead to storms up and down the East Coast and the dangerous heat wave still to come, let's bring in meteorologist Mike Bettis from our partners at the Weather Channel. Good evening, Mike.
Nora, good evening. After widespread flooding in South Florida, the conditions there are improving. Some locations picked up double-digit rain. Some places picked up more than 2 feet of rain, but more scattered in nature with the storms now, and no one particular spot expected to get more than 1 or 2 inches of rain, so that should minimize the flood risk from this point going forward. But we are 2 weeks into hurricane season. No named storms yet, but an area to watch here in the western Gulf of Mexico with 50% odds of it actually forming into a tropical cyclone over the next 7 days. Whether it gets the name Alberto or not, it's going to bring, we think, very significant rain to places like Louisiana and Texas, with up to 5 to 8 inches of rain in the forecast. The other big story, heat is building. High pressure holding strong in the eastern United States. Temperatures by Monday in the upper 90s in places like Detroit, Cincinnati, Chicago at 96. And of course, very dangerous heat index values as well, Nora, with many spots topping 100.
Mike Bettis, thanks. Breaking news out of Texas tonight. A federal judge ruled that conspiracy theorist Alex Jones must sell off nearly all of his personal assets to start repaying the families of victims of the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary. But the InfoWars mogul can stay in business for now. He owes those grieving families nearly $1.5 billion for lying about the mass shooting over and over again. CBS's Omar Villafranca has more on what happens now to Jones's empire.
This is an attempt at digital assassination.
Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones was defiant in front of a federal courthouse today, vowing that the government may shut him down, but they won't shut him up.
This is probably the end of InfoWars.
A federal judge in Houston ordered Jones to liquidate his personal assets, worth an estimated $4 to $6 million, to start paying the Sandy Hook families the $1.5 billion in defamation damages he owes them. The decision will also force Jones to auction off his jewelry and gun collection. An attorney for Jones said $2 million is already sitting in escrow for the families after Jones sold a Texas ranch. While in court, another episode of the Alex Jones Show aired on Infowars.com, the platform where Jones spread his conspiracy theories. The judge ruled that the company doesn't have to liquidate its assets, but that Jones will not control the money.
The whole thing is a giant hoax.
Courts in both Texas and Connecticut found Jones liable for defamation after he called the attack fake, a hoax, and called grieving parents crisis actors. For Robbie Parker, whose daughter Emily was one of the 20 students killed at Sandy Hook in 2012, this case is not about money, but accountability.
The reason that accountability is important for me is because that's part of the healing process.
The hearing comes the same week the survivors of the Sandy Hook massacre graduate from high school. Former classmates wore green and white pins to honor their memory, a memory Parker hopes never fades.
Some of the communications between the families have been just very beautiful, and so it is touching and it is emotional.
Infowars.com will survive for now, but Jones no longer controls the business assets, and his attorney says they are preparing for a, quote, orderly liquidation. Nora?
Omar Villafranca, thank you. Another setback tonight for that $230 million floating pier built by the U.S. military to deliver much-needed aid to the Gaza Strip. Rough seas forced the military to temporarily dismantle the pier and tow it to a port in Israel to ride out the bad weather. More than 7.5 million pounds of aid have been delivered through the pier in the past month. President Joe Biden met privately with Pope Francis today at the G7 summit in a meaningful moment for the Catholic president. This pope is the first to attend the summit, and he spoke to world leaders about the risks of artificial intelligence and its use in modern weapons. CBS's Nancy Cordes is traveling with the president.
A meeting of the minds at the G7 summit, where Pope Francis, who arrived by helicopter this morning, shared his concerns about artificial intelligence. The pontiff urged the world leaders gathered here to establish stronger global guardrails for the development of AI and to ban so-called killer robots altogether. The autonomous weapon systems can choose their targets using sensors with no human guidance at all. We need to ensure proper human control over the choices made by AI programs, he warned. Human dignity itself depends on it. The Pope was an early advocate for ethics in AI. An AI-generated deepfake of him in a white puffer coat went viral last year. In January, a faked Biden robocall told New Hampshire residents not to vote.
Your vote makes a difference in November, not this Tuesday.
That's just one example of what experts say are the potentially troubling implications for democracy.
We're heading into a reality where what we see is not what we can believe because of AI-generated images and video. And that holds particular consequences for our elections, for our trust in political candidates, for our trust in news.
Biden issued an executive order last year requiring domestic AI developers to share their safety test results with the U.S. government.
One thing is clear. To realize the promise of AI and avoid the risk, we need to govern this technology. There's no other way around it, in my view.
The Pope stressed today that human emotions can never truly be replicated by a computer. And as if to prove that point, he posted this photo from his meeting yesterday with more than 100 comics and comedians. There you see Stephen Colbert, Chris Rock, Jimmy Fallon. He told them that they unite people because laughter is contagious. Nora?
Nancy Cordes, thank you. Now we'll look at tonight's other top stories, starting with a new FAA investigation into whether or not counterfeit titanium is being used in parts on Boeing and Airbus planes. CBS's Chris Van Cleve explains.
Nora, the FAA says it's working to verify testing by Boeing, Airbus, and Spirit AeroSystems that these components are what they're supposed to be and not some kind of counterfeit. A company that sells titanium to aerospace suppliers appears to have received falsified documents about a shipment of materials. That metal was sent to Spirit AeroSystems and was used in components for both Boeing and Airbus planes. All three companies say they've done extensive testing and found the material does appear to be titanium. Spirit says it has removed those parts from production.
An urgent search is underway tonight for an American tourist who went missing during a hike on a Greek island. CBS's Carter Evans has the latest.
Albert Calabit is a retired sheriff's deputy from right here in Los Angeles, Nora. He's an avid hiker, and he's been visiting the Greek island of Amorgos for years. Search teams are combing the hiking trail where he was last seen on Tuesday. Friends and family say there's just no sign of him.
It doesn't make sense. It's like it's swallowed him.
There's some pretty steep terrain. If he's fallen into a crevasse, maybe you can't see him.
Two other Greek island tourists also went missing recently during hikes. One was found dead, the other is still missing. Temperatures there have soared to well over 100 degrees.
And a warning from the CDC about, yes, bearded dragons. A salmonella outbreak in 9 states has now been linked to the pet lizard. CBS's Dave Malkoff is in Georgia, where at least one case has been reported.
These bearded dragons are some of the most popular reptile pets in the world, Nora. But remember this, they can carry salmonella in their droppings, even if they look clean and healthy. According to the CDC, these reptiles are not recommended for families with kids under 5 years old, people over 65, or those with weakened immune systems. But if they are handled, wash your hands right away after you put them down.
And now you know, thanks to our CBS News teams across the country. Now this, a Southwest Airlines flight makes a terrifying plunge towards the ocean. That's next. And later, Steve Hartman's on the road with a heartwarming homecoming for the woman known as the grandmother of Juneteenth. A somber day in Parkland, Florida, as workers began tearing down part of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, the site of one of America's deadliest school shootings. A crowd, including family members of the victims, gathered to watch the start of what will be a slow demolition of the building where 17 people were killed and 17 others wounded on Valentine's Day 2018. Breaking tonight, the FAA says it is investigating a Southwest flight that came within 400 feet of the ocean off the coast of Hawaii. The scary incident happened in April and first came to light when reported by Bloomberg News today. Weather conditions on the island of Kauai forced pilots to bypass a landing attempt. The Boeing 737 MAX 8 briefly dropped. Southwest says no one was hurt and the plane returned safely to Honolulu. The bright lights of Broadway will shine this weekend on one Baltimore teacher. Her amazing story next. This weekend, the best and brightest stars on Broadway will be honored at the 77th Annual Tony Awards. Among them, C.J. Phillip, an actor, dancer, and educator from Baltimore. She is the winner of the 2024 Excellence in Theater Education Award. Phillip is the creative director of Dance and Be More, which serves as a gateway to theater, dance, and music for people of all ages. She told us how she felt when she heard the news.
Thoughts of my mom and my staff and the young people that we work with and all the folks who even make an award like this possible just filled my heart with lots of joy.
Joy, and you can watch the Tony Awards this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on CBS. On the Road is next.
This portion of the CBS Evening News is sponsored by Teva.
Opal Lee is a treasure. And that is tonight's CBS Evening News. I'm Norah O'Donnell. Good night and have a great weekend.